Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz one-on-one. This is College Football Smothered and Covered, and we are powered by Locked On.
You are Locked On College Football Smothered and Covered with your host, Barrett Sallee. Your one-stop shop for everything college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, welcome into College Football Smothered and Covered. Have a big show for you today. One-on-one with Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz. Of course, Missouri off to a 4-0 start. Just got by Vandy. Got a bye week and a big game against Texas A&M coming up next week. So we'll get through all of that with Eli Drinkwitz. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's right, $200 in bonus bets. That's after you place your first $5 wager. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Joined now by special guest. He's the coach of the Missouri Tigers, and he got the memo to wear the Master shirt today. That's purely an accident. He is Eli Drinkwitz. Coach, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Same. I guess we both got golf on our mind. It's a bye week. I wish I could get out and play a little golf, but probably not going to get any this week.
Yeah, probably not. It's probably not. Well, congratulations on the hot start to the season. Obviously, it's been awesome to see you guys do what you've been able to do. What's been the feeling around Columbia, during these 4 games and knowing, just how good this team can be?
Yeah, I think the excitement and the building of emotions really all summer through fall camp. I think it's been the most excitement that we've seen in Missouri for a long time. Just the anticipation of what the season lies ahead. We sold out the first 4 games, got like a 9-game sellout streak going, which is the longest in school history. So it's a great moment. But with anything with anticipation and expectations comes a little added pressure. And I think, as a team, as a group of players and coaches, we got to play without hesitation. We can't let the ranking or the expectation add any more pressure to us. We need to go out and play a lot more free and without fear of failure.
Well, last weekend against Vandy, that was a wild one, and I saw you on the field after the game when Dawn was interviewing you. You said we got a lot to work on. When you go into a bye week, when you have a game like that, do you secretly kind of pump your fist and say, all right, now I got something I can work on. Now I can grab their attention for a couple weeks, knowing that you escaped against a team like Vandy?
Yeah, first off, I think Vanderbilt was a really good football team. I think Clark does an excellent job. He's really improved that roster on both sides.
That quarterback's insane.
Yeah, he's really good. He's like he's like a church league player that you're just like, you're not quite good enough to stop him, and he's got this range of athletic abilities that you're looking at him like, I didn't know you had that in you. But man, Clark does an excellent job with that team, and he's always done a really good job, and they've always played us really tough. We knew going into the season there were really going to be 3 checkpoints to our season. It was going to be bye week 1, bye week 2, and the end of the season, and we'll figure out where we're at. And no matter what successes you had last year or whatever you accomplished, you got to develop the identity and toughness and resiliency of this year's team. And I think we're starting to see that come together. There's a lot of really good positives from Saturday to take away. There's obviously things that you got to continue to correct and get better. And I think if you're really going to be a good football team, it's the captains and the seniors that have a mindset of each week improve. And that's really where we're at as a staff and as a group of coaches and players. It's going to be determined this week if we really work to improve based on our first 4 weeks that we've played this season.
Well, I know you're an offensive guy, but man, your defense is absolutely nasty. What was it like preparing for the season, knowing that your defense? Did you expect your defense to come out as hot as it did, not giving up a point through 2 games?
Well, first off, I'm a linebacker by trade, so I actually, that's what I played, and I know don't let the glasses fool you, but I'm really proud of Corey and what his staff has done and what our players have done. I think we've got more competitive depth on the defensive side of the ball than we've had since I've been here. And I think instead of worrying about any one position, I think all of our guys are playing well together. And I think that's, when you can rotate in 18 to 22 guys consistently that really play with great effort and technique, I think you got a chance to be good on defense. There's still a lot of things to clean up, and we had 22 missed tackles on Saturday that really hampered our ability, but we had 8 3 and outs. So there's some give and take there. On the offensive side of the ball, I think there's a certain level of frustration on where we're at. We thought we would be better at this point, but we're not. And so you don't get frustrated. You go back to work. And when you asked if I expected this, I think there's an element to our defense knowing that the offense had so much praise and so much accolades going into fall camp. I think they just silently went to work. And so that's been a good thing for both sides of the ball.
You mentioned missed tackles last week, and it's one of those things I ask a lot of coaches, how do you prepare for fundamentals like that, knowing that you don't really get a lot of time in the offseason for full contact. During the season, how do you address a situation like that? And how are you addressing a situation like that during a bye week?
Yeah, I mean, when we went back and looked at our practice plan last week, we'd actually do a tackling circuit every Monday, every Tuesday, and a takeaway circuit on Wednesday. But one of the things that we looked at was on Mondays, we don't have shoulder pads on. And so instead of actually getting hard shoulder tackles to the ground, we're working tracking angles. And the bottom line is, and then on Tuesday, we did an option drill instead of a hard shoulder tackling. So that was on us as coaches. The previous weeks we hadn't done that, and so that shows up on tape. So you just go back to work. Today we'll have a tackling circuit, which is a hard shoulder tackling circuit. We'll make sure that we get our special teams work that has 2 tackling drills in it, and you just go back. It's not really rocket science. It's really just about going back. We have a saying, practice execution equals game day reality, and when you don't do it in a game, that means you didn't practice it the way you were supposed to in practice. I think nowadays more than ever, Saturdays are really not about improvement. Saturdays really are about production, and you get a scorecard. You got to have a mindset that when you go to practice, you're there to improve, and that's really what we got to do this week, and that's what our players' attitudes have to be each week.
How much has Luther Burden, not just his presence, but his ability to the way he's able to do things in practice and in games that are different than everybody else, how has that helped Theo Weiss?
Well, I think it's actually been vice versa. I think Theo Weiss's calm steadiness approach has really translated to Luther's development and maturity as a player. Theo came in, was a 5-star transfer who has all the ability in the world, but he was willing to sacrifice maybe his own individual stats for the best benefit of the team. And I think Luther saw that and realized, hey, if I really want to achieve what I want to achieve, it's about making everybody else around me great. And then when my opportunity to shine, I'll shine. And he's obviously done that in the first 4 games. I mean, I think he's got 5 touchdowns through 4 games, and has only played really 2.5 games if you look at the totality of his snaps. So he's done an excellent job of that. I think we're really continuing to challenge him to practice well. But the other thing that's been impressive about Luther, I mean, they caught me on TV between the 3rd and 4th quarter verbally correcting him on some of the penalty issues that he had. And he looked me right in the eye and said, yes, sir. He's not too big for coaching, and he's not too big for improvement. And when you're good players like Luther Burden and Theo Weiss are never too good to be coached, you got an opportunity to have a good football team.
You have a good running back core with Nate and Marcus. Obviously,
yeah, we do.
I don't know if you can replace Cody Schrader from last year, man. That dude was a monster. But how did you see them approach that challenge in fall camp? And have you seen that? How was that translated to the first 4 games of the season?
Yeah, I think the biggest key was to free them from trying to be Cody Schrader. Like, they needed to be uniquely themselves. The things that we had to replace with Cody was not his talent or his production. It was his leadership and his toughness. And I think through 4 games, both Nate and Marcus have demonstrated a level of toughness to our football team. Obviously, Marcus Carroll has really been dynamic in short yardage situations. Nate Noel is obviously, had 26 carries and almost 200, or 26 touches and almost 200 yards in his first SEC game. And, those guys never flinched. I think the other thing that's been really cool about both of those guys is that they haven't had any type of selfishness. It's been about the team. It's been about sharing the spotlight. It's been about sharing the role and just trying to drive team success. And as long as we'll all continue to take that mentality and approach, I think we got an opportunity to have a good season.
We'll take a break. When we come back, more with Eli Drinkwitz. We'll spin it forward on the future of the Missouri Tigers. It's college football smothered and covered. And of course, we are powered by Locked On. Hey, it's time to highlight my Roy Player of the Week, and it is Alonzo Barnett III from James Madison. A 70-50 win over North Carolina through about 75,000 touchdowns. National Player of the Week, according to the Associated Press. A big part of that big win, a statement win over the North Carolina Tar Heels. Hey, Roy is a new platform that lets fans make contributions directly to their favorite athletes. Download Roy for iOS or Android and enter referral code LOCKEDON, and you'll automatically be entered into a sweepstakes to win $5,000 cash. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. And I'm giving Barnett $100 on Roy as being voted on Player of the Week. If you were impressed with the way he played on Saturday, you can show him some love too. Just hop on Roy and throw in a few bucks. Everybody pitches in $10. It adds up for Mr. Barnett. Now you have the chance to show your appreciation for him and his standout performance this week, as well as what he'll continue to do for the program. Get off the sidelines and into the NIL game right now. Do it right this very second with Roy. Also brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for your role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just a job board, though. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but they might be open for a perfect role they don't even know about yet. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job boards. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, they do apply. All right, Eli Drinkwitz still here with us on the show. And Eli, let's spin it forward. You got a bye week, and then you go to Kyle Field and take on Texas A&M. I guess two things. I know we're not supposed to ask two-part questions, but a two-part question. One, what have you seen from Texas A&M on film so far? And also just the challenge that is, a place like that, Kyle Field, that is one of the toughest places to play in the entire sport.
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to do is you got to be able to calm your nerves and focus on execution in those loud environments. Fortunately for this team, they've been able to experience something similar in some really good environments in the SEC, whether you're talking about Jordan-Hare, you're talking about Georgia's Sanford Stadium, or you're talking about Willie Bryce or Tennessee. All of these places have loud fans, and so they're going to have a reference point, but this week it's all going to be about focus on concentration, on execution, and not letting external factors influence that. What I've seen from Texas A&M obviously is a very solid defensive team that's anchored by an elite defensive line. On the offensive side of the ball, it's really been interesting to see how with Marcel Reed, they've been developed a new offensive identity different from what they had in the first 2 weeks. And I think Colin Klein actually is more comfortable with that style of quarterback, in my opinion. That's what he was as a player. And it's opened up a whole new playbook for them. Obviously, I don't know what that means for the other kid who was injured, who I think was a dynamic player himself as a thrower. But for whatever reason, they've just clicked with the other kid playing the position.
Yeah, he's been awesome. I guess from a recruiting standpoint, last year a lot was made of the different ways that you go about recruiting, with Cody being kind of unknown, Luther Burden being, somewhat local, and then Brady, obviously, you coaching him up to being as successful as he was. How do you fit into this? You have done a great job locking down a pretty talent-rich state in Missouri. How do you build from that and make it go national?
I think you stay true to who you are. I think the very first thing is, as well as we've done, we've still missed on some really good players. I mean, Ryan Wingo is at Texas, and Jordan Love, Love is at Notre Dame, who
I was to say Jordan
are
Love.
elite players who no, not Jordan Love. I know his last name's Love. Sorry, I don't have it off right at the top of my head. But,
no worries. I was like, you're
running back for
Green
Notre
Bay
Dame.
Packers quarterbacks now. That's impressive.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, so I mean, there's still elite players that we haven't been able to solidify in the state of Missouri. So again, it goes back to doing the simple things better. We got to do the simple thing of locking down the state better. And then you got to pick your battles. I mean, the reality of it is national recruiting works for some schools, and for others, for us, that may or may not be our cup of tea. But what is our cup of tea is finding players out of the transfer portal who fit our scheme and system, and giving them an opportunity to shine on the brightest stage. You look at, last year's draft, Tyron Hopper was a third-round pick, who was a transfer here. Cody Schrader obviously is playing in the league, who was a transfer here. I think you're going to see that continue this year with the draft. You're going to see a couple of transfers get picked, as well as developmental players. And so it's kind of, for us, the best of both worlds. You identify what's the strength of your program, and then you play to those strengths. I don't subscribe to the theory that the better you get, the more national you have to go in recruiting. I've seen that really actually go to the detriment of programs. So for us, it's about doing the simple things better, which is we got to continue to improve at locking down our state, locking down the 400-mile radius, which is where we have the best advantage, and then do a better job of competing in the portal.
Last thing, Eli, it's a hard job for you guys now because of the calendar, because it's fluid and there's so many things going on at different times. How would you fix the coaching calendar?
Well, look, at the end of the day, they pay us a lot of money, and to whom much is given, much is required. So, at the end of the day, I don't really even consider what I do a job. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to do it. It beats having a real job, to be honest. I think there's some things that could alleviate some stresses on our coaches. I think we took a big step with making December a quiet period and moving up the signing period, or the signing day, to the first week of December, which I think will give coaches more time to spend with their players and give them some semblance of a break around the holidays, which I think is crucial for. I don't really like the term work-life balance. If you're going to be elite at anything, there's probably not going to be balance to it, but it does give you an opportunity to be present with your families. But other than that, like, my mind is so far removed from that. I'm more worried about how do we fix third downs in the red zone than I am about how do we fix the coach's calendar. But I would say this, like, they pay us way too much money to complain. So whatever they decide, we'll do it. And if it becomes too much work for me, then I'll try to become a co-host on Smothered and Covered.
There you go. There you go. We don't pay as much over here, but we can try.
Yeah,
we can get those sponsors. We can get those sponsorships.
Well, let's see if we can get a guest to the sponsors.
Well, you know what? Or just memberships. I mean, either way, we're not picky about anything here. Well, Eli, appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the season, and thanks for hopping on.
MIZ.
There it is. The show also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big, big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, news, view play-by-play, and so much more on the same exact page in which you place your bets. It's all right there for you. Get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's right, $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you make your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, FanDuel.com. That will wrap it up for this edition of College Football Smothered and Covered. Really appreciate Coach Drinkwitz hopping on. He is one of the nicest dudes that you'll ever meet, and obviously fantastic wardrobe with the Masters shirt. We did not coordinate that. I promise you we did not coordinate that. We just are very smart people. Bright minds think alike. But really appreciate it. Missouri has done a great job this year, and looking forward to seeing what they can do moving forward, because with a guy like Eli at the helm, that is a team that can get to the playoff. I don't think there's any doubt. They can get to the playoff. Just look at what they did last year. Look at how he's developed offenses. Look at what he did, I think, defensively. It's been awesome. And look, they had some injuries before the season, and they still came out hot. One of the best defenses in the entire country. And like Eli said, they got to get the offense going. There's no doubt that he will do that. He's done that everywhere he's gone. So thanks for Eli for hopping on. Speaking of coaches who hop on, we're going to have Gus Malzahn. Those two know each other. We're going to have Gus Malzahn on tomorrow's show. Talk a little bit about UCF. They played this team. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. Colorado. Got some famous dude coaching. We'll talk to Gus about that. We'll talk to Gus about his rushing attack. We'll talk to him about everything going on at the University of Central Florida. Thank you for making this your first listen every single day. And of course, for your second listen, go check out Locked On College Football. Spencer McLaughlin does a great job with his show, getting you ready for the weekend, wrapping up the weekend, all of that stuff from around the nation. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And it's going to be fun with Gus joining.